Scott, do you think he would?
No, and anyone suggesting otherwise, you know, with all due respect, has no idea what they're talking about. I've known the man 25 years. I communicate with him frequently. I know his views on this very well. He is steadfast supporter of the legislative filibuster, and if he was going to get rid of it, when would it have been good for him? They just had the majority. They had Donald Trump as the president, who was beating on Mitch McConnell and the Republicans to get rid of it every single day, publicly and privately. And they never did it. It would have been good for them. It would have been easy for them to do it then, to give in to Donald Trump. They would have faced no political repercussions whatsoever. And yet, it's still here. The hypocrisy on this issue is on the Democratic side. 30-plus Democrats who sit in the Senate today signed a letter during the Trump years saying we have to have the filibuster, preserve it at all costs. And now you see them on TV every day and on the weekends saying how we have to get rid of it. And by the way, the idea that nothing is getting done, how many trillions of dollars have we spent in the last several months? Plenty is getting done in Washington, D.C. This is a totally, terribly wrong-headed idea. And let me just be straight with you guys. I'm the one who knows him. He will never bend on this. He will never break. He will never get rid of the legislative filibuster. He has never been open to ending or amending the legislative filibuster. There were, as you know, there were judicial wars over this. Yeah. The legislative filibuster. There were judicial wars, you know, go back into the Bush years when the Democrats did start this, blockade of Bush's judicial nominees. Then Harry Reid finally tripped the nuclear option, and then they, of course, extended it to the Supreme Court. That's all been regarding confirmations on judicial. But where you've had broad agreement between the parties, Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell, Democrats, Republicans, people who've come and gone, people who are still there, you've had broad agreement that the legislative filibuster is a necessary piece of the Senate. It's part of the way it works. It helps drive bipartisanship and consensus. And the idea that because we have a different president now, that Democrats should trip it, Republicans totally reject, and they have credibility on it because they stood up to Donald Trump on this during the Trump years. So to call them opportunists or the idea that they would all of a sudden change their mind, Donald Trump was the biggest mind changer ever in the Republican Party.
I mean,
and he
Scott,
couldn't change their mind on this, and I can't believe they do it in the future. Scott. I mean, we have trillions of dollars that have gone out the door. We are on the brink of an infrastructure deal that appears to be attracting some support from Republicans and Democrats. I mean, the idea that Washington isn't functional when people are getting checks, when money's going out the door, when we did all this during the last year to combat COVID, when we had Operation Warp Speed.
What about voting rights?
Things are happening. It's just
what about voting rights?
It's just
what
not
about
the things
basic
that
democracy?
you want. It's just not the things that you want.
January 6th?
Just because what you want isn't
investigating
happening doesn't mean nothing is happening.
Okay, fine. Maybe I shouldn't have said nothing. Some things are happening, but some very important things aren't happening.
It's just not what you want.
Such as well, yeah, I would like them to.
This is the hypocrisy in the liberal argument. If what I want isn't happening, let's change
January 6th.
Scott, last word to you.
Look, I just fundamentally disagree that democracy is at risk. We've had massive turnout in the last 2 elections. We have more political engagement now than at any time during my career and at any time going back several generations. I don't think that's going to change. I think Democrats are dramatically overplaying the dangers to democracy. I think people are going to continue to participate, continue to vote, and federalizing our election systems and blowing up the filibuster to do it would be a terrible thing to do and set a terrible precedent and have damaging repercussions for both parties in the years to come.